Love it. Fantastic. Nathaniel, welcome, welcome. Thank you for
Thank
waiting.
you. No problem, man. Glad to be here. I was, you know what? Now that you're saying that, when we had a call, 2 weeks ago, and I was
Mhm.
substantially later. I was
Were
really late.
you?
Yeah, remember? You don't remember me being late? See, that's good. I left such a good impression afterwards that it blew your mind. Yeah, or slipped your mind.
And I know we talked about a lot of things that night. From you getting started in 2016, a little bit how you got started into real estate, the gap in the gain. I was probably thinking about that a lot
Mm,
afterwards.
it's a good one. Yeah.
So you were doing some wholesaling and now you're getting into flipping. You're in multiple markets.
Yep.
But going back to 2016, how did you know that investing was the path that you needed to take?
I still don't. No, I didn't. I really didn't. I saw the benefits. I saw the positives from selling a condominium that we had in California. It was a personal residence I lived in, and within 4 or 5 years, I forget, I think it was 4 years that I owned it, it had appreciated significantly, and I made a profit on it. I was like, "Oh, wait, this is a thing." And then when we moved out of California to Oklahoma, we had bought what we thought was gonna be a primary residence there, and Brittany, girlfriend at the time, wife now, partner now, got a job like an hour and a half away. And we go, "What are we gonna do with this house then? Let's make it a rental." People rent houses out, right? And they make money doing that, and so that was the next, like, check in the box. "Okay, this is legit. People are paying us rent now for this house that we own. Let's go figure out how to do more of that." And that turned into wholesaling for 7 years and yeah, yada, yada, yada.
What's something with your experience now that you look back and you're like, man, I wish somebody would have told me that earlier about wholesaling?
Oh, man. There are so many. I think maybe one of the biggest things that I did the first 4 or 5 years is jump from marketing channel to marketing channel and not really honing in on one thing. I would have probably gone back and told myself, "Just pick this one thing, do it for 6 months. You're gonna start to get deals, and then start to iterate from there. Learn what's working, learn what's not working, and change things up." I went from direct mailer, cold calling, cold texting, SEO, PPC. I did some door knocking, you name it, and I did it as far as marketing goes, and they all worked. And as soon as I got a deal with one, it seems like I was like, "All right, let's try the next one." Instead of just like ironing the processes out. But those are the things that when you're starting out and you don't really have a mentor, you don't really have anybody that you can bounce ideas off of, and you're just going solo, you don't know. You don't learn until you get into groups like I'm in sub two, you're in sub two, and all the little different groups that have trickled down from that group that you start to learn, oh, this is not how you do that. You shouldn't jump from marketing channel to marketing channel every 6 months. That's not how you scale a business up.
Hmm.
But yeah. So I would say that. And one of the things that we hear very often is just take action consistently and do something every single day. There was a lot of time early on where it was a hobby. While I technically was a real estate investor because I was doing some deals, we did have a rental house that we were renting out. It was a hobby, it was passive. I would send out mailers and wait for the phone to ring. I would do a Google PPC campaign and wait for the phone to ring instead of figuring out, okay, what can I do while the phone's not ringing to try to generate some more leads a different way. So probably those couple things is what I would go back and tell myself or tell somebody that's just starting out now. Like stick to something and stick with it for as long as you can.
Consistency beats all. And I think the time frame there is pretty important, the 6 months,
Hmm.
because I think 3 months in, you're okay, is this working? Is this not? Should I switch to something?
Yep.
And you really don't hear a lot of people saying, stick with this for X amount of time because you don't know if it works. And then if you
Yeah.
quit 3 months in and you try something else, you might get a lead from that last thing you tried and you might confuse the results.
Yep. Yeah. And you're not giving your leads enough time to become ready to buy, basically. Especially PPC is a little bit different of a beast just because these people are showing intent by going and searching for you, right? They're actually going a little bit more out of their way. But with most of the other ways we get in front of prospects, it's pretty passive, or it's pretty passive on the seller's part. Hey, they answered the phone, or they got a piece of mail in the mail. They're they're taking this step of going, yeah, I'm interested, let's walk through this. But most of the time, these people aren't ready to sell for 14 to 17 touches. And so it's up to us as the investors, the wholesaler, to like constantly be reaching back out, following up. You want to be top of mind when this person is ready to finally sell. Hey, Nathaniel's the guy that's been calling me. I just talked to him 2 days ago. I'm ready to sell finally. It's going to be Nathaniel that gets the call. It's the worst when you follow up with somebody for 3-4 months and then they go, oh yeah, you miss a couple weeks following up to them, and they go, oh yeah, I sold it to the guy that followed up a week ago. No, I know so much about you, your cat, and like where your granddaughter goes to college, all the things that don't make any sense towards a real estate transaction. And you feel like, oh, I know the seller so well, we bonded. But it's just about timing. It's just about following up and being that person that is there at the right moment.
I definitely struggled with this in the beginning, and that was how to follow up. You
Mm,
call the seller the first time, and I'm like, cool, it's fine. They've never met me. And then we have that conversation, and at least I felt like, okay, how do I follow up and not just talk about the deal?
yeah. There are little strategies around that, like taking good notes. And, while I joke about the learning about somebody's cat or where their granddaughter goes to school, those are helpful things. You just don't want to do a lot of that, especially early on. You can find yourself talking to somebody for 60 minutes, 45 or 50 of them are not related to the house. You're just chit chatting. And you feel like, oh, I built up a bunch of rapport with this person. Like we're really good friends. Oh, they're going to sell me this deal when it comes time to sell. But you've just built like facade. Yeah, you've just scratched the surface, right? You haven't really dug deep into what's actually going on and learning about their problem, whatever that may be with the house. To try to keep my train of thought here is that if I do learn something about their cat, like maybe they have a tabby, 2 weeks from now, I could look up some cool article on tabbies. And now that's hey, I just saw this article about tabbies. I have an in now to reach back out to them and now go, hey, what are you thinking about this at the house? You had mentioned this last time. Just depending on where the conversation's going, I always try to end the conversation with a note of why I'm going to reach out the next time. That's that's how I did things at least. Then I can pull them up in my CRM or whatever, however you track your follow-ups and go, oh yeah, I'm calling Elaine about 123 Main Street. She did mention there was a insurance claim going on last time. So I can reach back out and say, hey, how are things going with that insurance claim? Do you need an adjuster? I'm going to try to provide value on that next call
Mhm.
immediately, however I can. I'm going to grab my tea real quick if you don't mind, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just sitting over there getting cold. No, it's not. I didn't put the water in, so no tea
Ooh.
tonight. Yeah, whoops. Bummer.
That's okay.
It's not gonna.
Oh gosh, I think I got a French press for Christmas.
Okay.
And I went to boil water the other day, went upstairs for a sec, came back to check it, and I was like, "Man, it's just maybe it's because I'm watching it." And so I set a timer, walked away for a little bit more, and then came back, and I was like, "I didn't even turn the oven on. This is
Yeah.
great."
Bummer. Yeah. I could not even count how many times that's happened. I have the little electric kettle that I just plug
Mhm.
in, and you have to hit boil start. And so many times I hit boil and just walk away. And like you said, that thing's taking a while. I wonder dang it, I didn't press start. Yeah, sorry. I derailed that conversation.
What's one personal habit that's made a big impact on your success?
Oh man. Put me on the spot here, Chris. You mentioned the gap in the gain. For me, following a couple of the little principles that I'm pretty sure were in that book. I listened to a couple of the Ben Hardy books in succession, but I'm pretty sure it's in The Gap in the Gain where they talk about daily writing down wins, 3 to 5 wins every single day. It can be as simple as I made my bed to closed $1 million deal, right? And then so you write down your wins from the day. this frames your days in a positive light. Hey, these are things that positive happen today. It could be the worst day where sellers hang up on you, you lose a contract, whatever, a buyer ghosts you at the last minute. There's always something there that's a win. You just have to think about it. And reframing your days in that light as just, hey, every day's positive. And then after you've written down 3 wins from the day, write down 3 wins that you're going to accomplish tomorrow. These are essentially your goals for the next day. What do you want to be writing in this journal tomorrow night that is a win that you think you can look back in your day and go, okay, it was a successful day? That just reframing those little things like that in your head are so powerful. I can show you how to talk to sellers. I can show you like how to comp properties and underwrite and all these things. But if your mind isn't right, you're not going to be successful. That's just the fact of the matter. And so I think that probably is maybe the biggest habit over the past year and a half or so that has really made an impact on my life. Like, we're still chasing deals. Yeah, I still get bummed when deals fall out of contract or we lose deals or whatever. But being able to turn around and go, okay, what did we gain from this experience? Like, we just had a couple fall out of contract last week, and we go, all right, what did we learn? Like, what can we iterate and move going forward? You could feel everybody's bummed out. Like, it's my responsibility as a leader now to go, check it out. I know we're bummed out, but look at what we just learned about our processes and our systems moving forward. That's what this is all about, in my opinion.
I think that's spot on. It just reminded me of, gosh, it just slipped my mind.
Oh, dang it. It'll happen. Right. You'll remember it as soon as we hang up.
All right, move on from the topic and I'll come back
Yeah.
and be like, wait a minute.
Yeah. It's tough to come up with one of those like habits because there's so many things that for me have made a huge difference in my life. And I notice when I'm not doing certain things aren't going as well. Like, time blocking is a huge one. Do it the day before, do it the week ahead. Put into your calendar what you're going to do. And you can go back to those wins that you wrote down in your journal and start plugging those in, and then stick to your calendar. It's easy to go, hey, I'm supposed to be on a podcast isn't a good example, but like, I'm supposed to be editing video right now, but there's Facebook messages that need to get answered, or yeah, I haven't texted in a while. You're supposed to be editing video. That's why you put it on your calendar. If you want to answer Facebook messages, put it on your calendar. Yeah, time
I
blocking's
agree.
huge. Yeah, and I think for me, we can maybe transition into this topic a little bit, but like, daily exercise, get out there. It doesn't have to be something crazy. It could be a 20-minute walk. Like, those 20-minute walks are so beneficial for your body, but also for your mind to just clear. Don't be scrolling. I guess you can if you want to kill 2 birds in a sense, but like, let your exercise heal your body and your mind as well, because that you need that in order to be able to function at a high level. I actually end up doing 2. I do a little 10 minutes in the morning before I start the day with the kiddos, and then I typically get something in the afternoon, be it a walk, or like today I went for a run. Some days I'll do jump ropes or kettlebell exercises. Just let's strain the body a little bit. It helps me
Move the
sleep
body.
better at night too. Yeah.
I would love to jump on the bandwagon on this one, but like the past week, I have been pretty lax on my
Okay.
workouts.
Yeah.
It happens from time to time. 6 months ago, I was running 5 to 7 miles every morning, come home
Oh,
doing
wow.
another workout,
Wow.
and then the runs went away, and then I was just doing the workouts consistently. So I feel like it comes and goes in spurts, but it's definitely one of those things that like moving your body and changing your energy is just so important throughout the day.
Yeah. As entrepreneurs, what's like a word? W2, having a W2. There's a word for that, but like an adjective. But people that have a W2, especially, it doesn't apply to you yet, but if you decide to have kids and have a wife or a husband, it's hard to fit that stuff in.
Hmm.
And so a lot of us think, oh, you got to go to the gym and you got to spend an hour and a half in the gym. And I just don't have time for that. Trust me, you don't. Like, 10 or 15 minutes of really focused exercise. If you just did that every day or twice a day, you will, like, the world will change for you. For somebody that's not exercising really at all. But having the fluctuation of where your you really exercise a lot and then you exercise a little bit and sometimes you don't exercise at all. That's natural. That's normal. That's just that's the seasons of life. It's about getting back on. I had a week off now. Okay, get back on the bandwagon, so to speak, and start getting back into the habit and start small. It doesn't have to, you don't have to go do 5 mile runs and a second workout. You could go do 20 minutes. Like just take it easy. The last thing you want to do is go out and hurt yourself. Now I can't exercise anymore. No, just start slow, ease yourself into it. Don't David Goggins yourself. If you know, like, we need the David Goggins of the world out there, but most of us just need to take it easy and get what we can in.
I'm not gonna lie, I read Can't Hurt
Yeah,
Me,
yeah,
and not even a week later, I was outside running in the freezing cold, and I was like, I
yeah,
can do it. So
yeah.
pumped up.
And then the next day you're hurt. I can hurt. Dang, no. Yeah.
But you know what? After getting out and literally running every day, eventually it was just like so normal, but it was crazy
Mhm.
because after a couple of weeks, you go run a mile and you're just out of breath completely, and you're like, what happened?
Oh yeah, that's one of those things you lose very quickly. That you can correlate that a lot to business and entrepreneurship and just like other facets of life too. If you build these habits and then you get off and you try to go talk to sellers, for example, hey, I haven't talked to sellers in a few weeks. That's not a skill. It just, yeah, a lot of that comes back, but you're not going to be as sharp as you were. You're not going to be able to run that mile in 6 minutes. It's going to take you 8 until you get back on the horse. 6 minutes might be a little fast.
Yeah, it definitely does take some adjustment. I remembered what I was going to say when you were talking about logging your
Okay.
wins
Yeah.
and whatnot. And I was going to actually say that positivity is weird. And I say that because starting the entrepreneurial journey and not doing any of that to now trying to write out at least two things that I'm grateful for and just
Mm.
seeing everything as wins now from writing down my wins, no matter how big or small. There's times now when events happen and I just brush it off like it's nothing happened. It's just so different. Sometimes I'm literally sitting there and I'm like, wow, what a nice freaking day it is. And before I never did things like that. And then I just stop and I'm like, wow, I'm very
Mm.
grateful right now and just feeling very positive and very alive.
Yeah.
I definitely
It's
think that
like,
practice helps.
it's one of those things that like feel or seem or look woo woo until you're in it. There's so many little cliche things that we say as entrepreneurs, like being the communities that we are in, that they just seem phony until you start actually living that way. And then you go, oh no, this is legit. It's not about the destination. It's about the journey because you can't enjoy the destination unless you go through the journey and all the trials and tribulations that come upon it. But yeah, like start with being grateful. Having a grateful mind and a grateful heart impacts the rest of your day. It's something that you should start your day with, in my opinion, of course. And end your day with getting out of bed and going, man, am I grateful for that bed and that sleep that I had and this roof over my head. And when it's cold outside, I have the heat on inside and I can put my slippers on and all the little things that we take for granted. Be grateful for them and let that bleed into all the other aspects of life. Because when, like you said, when difficulties happen, because we've been practicing that, it makes it easier for us to just brush it off or look at the positive side of things. Hey, what can I take from this that I can move forward and be better at? So yeah, I love it. I'm glad you're doing it.
On that note, circling back to that life balance with entrepreneurship, how do
Yeah.
you find balance exactly?
A color coded calendar, the way that I go about it, I have green for work. What do I have? I have blue and like this. Oh, I can't show my mouse. The like top kind of corner of your backdrop there for
Mhm.
like personal stuff for me. We have purple for family, a different color blue for Brittany and myself meetings. I have yellow for the expert home buyers team meetings, just all color coordinated. And when I look at my calendar on a given day, seeing that rainbow of colors tells me that, hey, I got a balanced day. Some days are going to be really green and I'm not going to have a lot of blue, let's just say, for example, for myself. But if I don't see green and I don't see purple, then I need to make some adjustments, unless there's something really crazy going on. Because, like, purple is family time and we are family first, comes before darn near everything. unless there was like a family emergency, then it absolutely comes above everything. But yeah, there, when I started out, I used to go, "Hey, I'm playing with the kids right now," but then the phone would ring and I'd go, "Wait, I got to go get the phone." I have been able to switch that now to where, like I was mentioning with the calendar, honoring what's on the calendar. For the most part, if I'm with the kids, the phone rings. If Brittany can't answer it, it's not getting answered. I don't know if it's a hindrance to the business. It doesn't seem like it has been, but that's okay. If we lose out on a deal or lose out on something because I'm putting what I preach first, which is family first, like being present with my kids, then that's the way it is. Is it going to get us to the billion-dollar companies? Probably not, but that's okay. We're not trying to be a billion-dollar company, at least at this point.
I think that's pretty big. Even now, I feel like I'm starting to implement that a little bit because I did have a tendency to lock myself in my office all day. For instance, if it were a weekend and I didn't have my W-2 job tomorrow, I would probably be locked in my office till about midnight because my girlfriend is not home to be like, "Hey, why don't you come downstairs and eat?"
Yeah.
And so now I have been trying to, this time, hard stop. If you're spending time in the house, put your phone down, focus on whatever activity and be present in that moment.
Yeah.
And it was very difficult at first, but I think that separation is key because in entrepreneurship, I think there is no real balance. You just have
No.
to figure out your own footing.
Yeah. Like I said, there are days where it's going to be the majority green. And I don't want to say either, too, like if you have certain things time blocked on your schedule, if something more pressing comes up, that doesn't mean you just go, "Well, I got to put that on the calendar tomorrow." Like, no, let's figure out where we can plug this in on the day. What's a lower priority thing? Now, I wouldn't swap, for the most part, again, I wouldn't swap family activities out for certain things, but okay, I'm supposed to be editing a podcast right now, but like the title company needs these documents from me. It's a bad example for me specifically, but this is the most pressing issue right now. The deal needs to get done. I got to switch out the editing, editing the podcast out for making sure that these documents get in. So, the priority of the day, like the day will creep in sometimes and go, "Hey, this is more pressing." You got to be adaptable to make the changes on the fly like that. But for the most part, like you're mentioning, put the phone down. The time blocking gives us a power and the ability to do that because I know that after I go hang out with my kids, I'm coming back and it's whatever's on the calendar work wise, I'm going to get done. So I can put the phone away confidently and go, I can be present with my kids. That's the most important thing for me to do right now, is be with my kids and be present. It's difficult, like you said, starting out though. But yeah, off my horse. Yeah.
Good horse to be on. I'm not even there,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I feel this.
Yeah. And I forget, I think it might have been Brandon Turner, if you're familiar with Brandon Turner of Bigger Pockets, said this a while ago about like keeping appointments with yourself. I put these things on my calendar, and if I'm just flaking them off, if I'm just like being a flake, I'm building the habit of not keeping my own appointments. He said, pick whoever, like famous celebrity or athlete or whatever that you would love to go out to lunch with. Mine was Michael Jordan when I was growing up. Man, I'd love to go eat lunch with Michael Jordan and talk to him about whatever. Is that going to move the needle in my life at all? No, almost certainly not. But you would keep that appointment absolutely with Michael Jordan. Why aren't you keeping the appointments with yourself where you have the ability to move your needle? You have the ability to affect your life. Like, don't brush yourself off. If you would keep the appointment with Michael Jordan, you absolutely 100% should be keeping the appointments you set for yourself. So I don't know, that like stuck with me a little bit. And I probably butchered the story in a sense. It was 5 years ago, but
I think it's a great example, and it
yeah.
even relates to how we talk to ourselves. Is typically not something that we would say to friends sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's definitely that awareness that you have to start building.
Yeah. The negative self-talk it's a challenge to get away from. And it's something that's really disempowered. Disemboweling? Something. There's a word there too. Hey, it's late in the day, people.
Disemboweling.
Yeah, it's not disemboweling, it's disempowering. Yeah, even that I could say, man, that was stupid. You're so dumb that you like to say something like that. No, why would I say that about myself? I wouldn't say that about other people, or you shouldn't be saying it about other people. Why would you say that about yourself? Your subconscious is now going, you're stupid. You're not worthwhile. You're not going to be successful. No, stop telling yourself that. You can say that was silly, but even that's silly.
You are slowly eroding your self-confidence.
That's right. Yeah, no, why would I do that? I want to build myself up. I want to empower myself as much as I can. I'm not a big affirmations person.
Yes. Hmm.
It's not something that maybe I was doing it wrong. Maybe I've never done them right, but it wasn't something that I felt like super convinced, I guess, in. So I'm not a big affirmations person, but it's definitely better than the opposite, which is saying you're worthless and you're a piece of junk and you're never going to amount to anything. No, I'm powerful. I'm strong. I'm a leader. I'm empathetic. I'm curious. I'm driven. Things unexpectedly come to me in unexpected ways, like whatever. Yeah. Whatever affirmations you want to do. Are you an affirmations person, Chris?
We do affirmations in the MMC every morning, but I'm also of the fact that it's okay. I can say certain things, but if I say I'm a $1 million entrepreneur or something like that, that's just my daily affirmation. I can say it, but if I'm looking at my bank account and it doesn't reflect it, then I can
Yeah.
clearly see that's not true. And that's just
Yeah.
personal for me.
Yeah.
And so I think that affirmations do help, and the repetition is what helps rewire your brain.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I think you also have to move towards figuring out how you can live that.
Yeah, that's something that he talks about in the law of attraction a little bit, actually. And instead of saying, I'm going to butcher it a little bit probably. But instead of saying, I'm a millionaire entrepreneur, you can say, I'm in the process of becoming a millionaire entrepreneur. And it allows your subconscious to actually buy in a little bit more than, like you're saying, I'm a millionaire entrepreneur, knowing that I only have 15 grand in the bank. Like, no, my mind doesn't believe what I'm saying. Therefore, it's not really going to become true, or it's going to take me longer maybe to become true. But if you just flip a couple words there, or you add a couple words, I'm in the process of, your subconscious can buy in, because you're like, yeah, I am. I'm getting up and I do the thing. I take the actions every day. Like, I am in the process of becoming a millionaire entrepreneur. So yeah, I don't know if that helps.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
building that stack of undeniable proof, and that
Hmm.
kind of shift. You go from I am a millionaire entrepreneur, where's your proof? And then you say I'm in the process, and now it's okay. Maybe I have proof, and that proof could have either grown or stayed the same.
I love it. It's just the little things. And then somebody listening might go, no, you shouldn't even say that. You should say it this way. Okay. Tell me, I'll get better. I promise.
What's a belief or mindset shift that you think separates the most successful entrepreneur from those that fail?
So it's funny you use that word as the end of your question there, because I think that's probably something that is a big shift for people getting started. Is, I'm afraid to fail. I got to know everything before I get started. No, you know what you need to do is you need to switch from being afraid to fail to being excited to fail, because that's how we're going to learn, and go out there and fail. There's a lot of, I don't know if it's like an evolutionary trait in us as human beings, but we want to know all 10 steps. Say it's a 10-step process. We want to know all 10 steps before we take step one. And so much in real estate is about taking step one, because you can't know two or three until you've done step one. But we're so concerned about knowing all the steps. That way we don't stumble on step one or two, that we never get started and we never take action. So that little switch going, as from sales, you hear it's a numbers game. You got to get 30 no's to get a yes. It's the same thing. That means I got to go talk to 30 people. I got to fail 30 times before I can go get a yes. If you know that's your number, like on average, it takes me 30 no's to get to a yes, make a game out of it. Now I can gamify it. I want to go get no's. I want to go fail as fast as I can so I can learn my lessons and grow from there. I forget who says it, but like maybe Steve Trang. I'm the fastest implementer there is out there. I read something and I'm going and implementing it immediately. While you're still reading what the next steps are, I've already learned and iterated 2 or 3 times. That's yeah, long story short, go fail. Put it in your head that like you're going to fail, you need to fail. That's how you're going to succeed. And then from there, don't quit. The only way you lose at this game, the only way you lose at entrepreneurship is if you give up and you quit. Otherwise, you're still playing the game. And that's the objective is just keep playing the game to win and do big things and grow and all those things. But keep playing the game, stay in the game. Yeah. And another high horse has gone down.
The point of business is to stay in business, not
That's it.
go out of business.
Yeah. And like I'd seen this meme a long time ago and it didn't register. But there's the meme of I don't know if you want to call it a meme, but it's a miner and they're underground and there's one on top and there's one beneath, and the one beneath is like that far away from the gems, and he's turned and he got his axe over his back and he's got his hunch down and he's walking away, and like that's the one that he lost now because he decided to quit. The one above him is just chipping away. I don't know when gems are going to show up, but I know the gems are down here. I'm going to keep chipping away at it. And that's what we have to be. Is your gems are up there. Know that you're worthy. Know that you're enough. Know that you deserve it, and go out there and keep putting in the action every single day that's going to get you there.
I think gamifying it is pretty huge, but pretty hard at the same time. I
Yeah.
think the game really starts when you can make a game out of all the no's until you get the yes, but then once you actually get that yes and you get that proof of concept, you can now add an extra layer to the game and say, it takes me 30 to get a yes. How can I cut that down to 25? And my yeses are now worth $10,000.
Yeah,
So it's
that's the
like
fun part of the game.
now it's like how fast can I get through to find my yes?
Yep. Yeah, that's it. Like when I first started out in Sub 2 and joining the daily dials, I heard a lot of the closers on the daily dials talk about that. I was like, I'm coming in and I want to track your nose. I want to know how many no's you got today. That's the sign of you're out there, you're actually doing calls, you're actually making calls. And if you can track them, like you said, now I can figure out, okay, how can I make better calls and get those no's down to 25? Or how can I maybe get in front of better prospects? Yeah, and that's where the fun of entrepreneurship comes in when you start to look at those little things and gamify it. It's not easy. You got to figure out how to gamify it for yourself. Not everybody's a gamifier. I am. I grew up playing video games. So like, how can I level up? How can I get the like little doo 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 sound going? Oh man. Okay, I'm thinking of something now. Yeah. Like, every time we get a deal, instead of a bell, just have like a doodle doo.
I did grow up also playing video games, and I still have trouble gamifying everything,
Yeah.
which is really interesting.
Yeah. It's not like in video games, you swing your sword enough times, you level up your sword skill. It's not so cut and dry like when you're talking to sellers, for example, that, oh, hey, I unlocked a new skill, so to speak. It's not that easy to do. You just have to put in the work and be able to look back on yourself 3 months ago and go, oh yeah, I was pretty crummy on the phones then, and I'm definitely better now. It's not, you're not going to get that. Do 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 do. Hey, new skill point unlocked. Put it into negotiation or building rapport. No, no,
I'm
you
just
just have
saying,
to kind of do it.
if we had XP bars, I think people would be a
Yeah.
lot more motivated.
Yeah.
It's actually funny as I think about, ooh, okay, after I learn this piece, I can start learning this piece of the puzzle. I do think about skill trees, and I'm like,
Mm.
haha, I just earned 1 point in this.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
but
You have you have to
when it
find it for
comes,
yourself. Yeah.
what would you say is more important, sales or marketing?
Oh man. I guess I would probably say it depends on what you're trying to do, but sales. I think that's tough. If you can link up with somebody that knows marketing and vice versa. But so much comes down to sales. I'm going to lean on sales. I think that whether you're talking to a seller, an agent, your spouse, the grocery store clerks, like it's all about sales. It's all about building rapport, bonding with somebody, finding out what makes that other person tick, being empathetic and curious, And those are all skills that go into sales, but also go into life as well. People think a lot of the times we hear sales and you go, oh, he's trying to sell me a car. They're trying to sell me a phone with the bells and whistles and this and that. And they're just going to plug all the features and the benefits of this, whatever their product is. But that's not what a good salesperson is doing. A good salesperson is meeting the other person where they're at, learning about what it is they're trying to accomplish. Why did you come into a phone store in the first place? What are you looking for in a phone? I'm not going to try to sell you an iPhone 16, whatever the heck they're on right now that has this camera and stuff like that. If you're never even going to text on it, you just need it to make phone calls. I would be a crummy salesperson or a really good one, depending on your perspective. I'm sure as heck not going to get a sale from somebody. I love the pen analogy when it comes to sales because a common one is, hey, sell me this pen. And a lot of newer people will go, you know, look at this pen. Can you see it? Yeah, look at this pen. It's silver. It paints. It's got blue ink. It's got a really fine tip point. And then the prospect goes, oh, dude, I need a black pen and I want it to be a thick point. You've already lost them because you just started selling them on the features and benefits of what you got. No, listen to what the prospect needs. The first things out of your mouth should be questions. So, high horse off. I feel like I end up rambling a little bit sometimes. Maybe it's just late in the day and that's my, yeah, sorry.
No, it's good. I think you made some really great points.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I feel like my train of thought with that for myself anyway is a lot of people get into real estate and they start with wholesaling because it's one of the easiest ways to get in.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of us might not have those sales skills. And so it's okay, do you focus on building sales skills and how do you do that? Or do you focus on bringing in as many leads as possible? And I guess it's like a chicken or the egg scenario.
Yeah, it really like I answer that as sales just because I think that the sales applies to so much. Not that marketing doesn't too. If you're marketing for real estate and you get good at marketing for real estate, you can turn that and go market for other things as well. Like you mentioned, if sales isn't your thing, if you're not interested, there are so many ways to make money in real estate and be successful in real estate. You don't have to learn sales. You could just become a really good leader and lead people, lead a sales team, right? Or you could become that genius marketer that brings in really quality leads and all those closers are going to come want to work with you. So just because I said sales, I would choose sales doesn't mean that anybody else out there listening should. I just think it's probably one of the most powerful skills that we can learn as entrepreneurs or just humans in general.
What are some ways that you think people can go about practicing or just acquiring more sales skills?
There's reading books for sure and learning kind of different sales techniques and different sales systems. My favorite, the one that I learned when I joined Sub 2, is the Sandler sales training system, which is, as I described, it's really figuring out where your prospect or your client or whatever is at and what they're trying to accomplish. But it ultimately really comes down to, which is funny because the book is titled, You Can't Teach a Kid to Ride a Bike at a Seminar, because you can only learn so much from reading a book, listening to a podcast, watching videos. It ultimately comes down to going out there and putting yourself into uncomfortable situations where you're talking to a stranger on the phone for the first time and getting comfortable in those nerves, getting comfortable in that conversation, listening actively to what the other person's saying, fumbling and screwing it up, and then going back and listening to your calls and going, oh man, what could I have done better now that I'm not actively in the hot seat, so to speak? And just learning from there. Sometimes people come into my weekly Zoom that I hold and we will be role playing together and they'll say something and I'll just be able to spattle things off. And they go, wow, that's so, like, how do you do that? Dude, I've been doing it for a long time. Like, I've been making a lot of calls. I didn't just read this from a book last night and go, oh, that's something good that I could add into there. That's how it started. I started by reading books and role playing with other people, but then you got to put yourself under the fire and go start having conversations with people. That's where you're actually going to build your skills and hone your skills. Yeah, really, it's, I'll wrap it all up. Go make calls. Go take the action that you need. That's how you learn anything, is by going and doing. You can sit in seminars, you can read books, you can listen to podcasts, but until you apply it, the knowledge doesn't mean anything.
Well said.
No, thank you. I think it's Creighton Bertrand that I heard first say it, and I don't know where he got it from, but I just want to give the credit to him. But he says knowing and not doing is the same as not knowing. Essentially, like it doesn't really matter if you know about sales skills if you're not actually out there doing it. You haven't learned all there is to learn about it. So I really like that little quote. Yeah.
If you could go back to day one with what you know now, what would you do differently?
I don't want to say, yeah, that's tough. Because everything that I did is what got me here. And I don't know if I would necessarily change anything because who knows where the heck I would end up at. To answer your question, I probably wouldn't wholesale. I probably would have started raising capital right off the bat and figuring out how to actually buy deals, whether that be for flipping or holding or whatever. That's where I would have probably made some changes. I wouldn't have wholesaled for 6 years. And if I did, I would have scaled myself out of the business instead of just doing it on my own for basically 6 years. But yeah, I would go back and really start with the end in mind. Hey, we got into real estate to hold properties and to buy properties for a long time. What the heck are we doing wholesaling? Let's figure out how to buy properties. That being said, like you mentioned, wholesaling is a great freaking way to get started because you need almost no money, you need almost no skills. For the most part, you just need time and a way to make calls or texts. You don't need a CRM. You don't need to pull a bunch of fancy, like huge lists. You just got to start making the calls. So I don't want to discourage people from getting started in wholesaling. That's just my personal journey.
Absolutely. I think it is a great place to start. I don't regret the time that I spent with the things that I learned.
Yeah.
I think it taught me a lot of things and overall improved on my consistency and really showing me that I can have delayed gratification, that I can be okay
Mm,
with not getting the results that I'm looking for immediately.
yeah. Yeah, it's so important. Like, you're not going to most likely get a deal within the first week or so. You just have to know that they're coming as long as you stay consistent and you keep freaking grinding that pickaxe. But yeah, that delayed gratification is huge. It's one thing that is a little bit of a struggle for us still because we're building for the future, not so much the now. Right. And so a lot of the times, like we take a little profit, but we're taking so much and putting it back into, hey, let's go get another one. Let's go buy another deal. Let's go do another thing. That way we can stack wins on top of wins. And having that delayed gratification, like we'll get there. It's tough. It's definitely tough, but it's really tough when you're not getting deals.
So you made me think of the profit first system
Hmm.
just then. And so do you follow the profit first or how do you really tell? Because I feel like you could get a deal and you could be like, I could use this amount and maybe start not making the best choices when it comes to funds. So
Yeah. Just go
how
buy
do
a
you keep that in
Lamborghini.
line and then
Yeah.
buy a Lamborghini?
So yes and no, we use it. We use it on the active side of things. So whenever we do a flip, we have an acquisitions fee. But for the passive cash flow, we're just letting that all funnel back into the business currently. There's going to be a point where that switches, but right now we're doing well enough where we're like, just keep the active income going. And we do take a chunk of the profit from that. And then the rest does just go back into the business. Hey, we want to go buy another deal. We want to be able to do more things with that money. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense for us to go buy a Lamborghini right now. Not that we're going to buy a Lamborghini anyway, but so to speak.
Not another one.
No, not another one. Yeah, we already got the one stacked outside on the trailer. No.
Like one of the Carvana elevators.
Yeah, there's right. Oh, you can't see, but there's a Lamborghini on this. Oh, dang, where'd my hand go? Nope. It's on that mantle right there. Oh no, it's a Porsche. Never mind. It's not a Lamborghini. It's a Porsche. It got taken away because the doors on this. It's a little. It's not a Matchbox. It's the other one. Hot Wheel. Thank you.
Ah.
Thank you, crowd. It's a Hot Wheel, and it's one weird one where the doors open on it. And our middle child, the 2-year-old Huxley, we call him the Destroyer. I noticed that he was cranking on. I'm like, okay, that's not yours anymore. That's going to go up on the mantle. So yeah, sidebar.
There you go.
Huxley the Destroyer. Yeah.
What would you say is some advice you might give to other people, but you find it difficult to follow yourself?
Ooh, that profit first is a good one because we still do struggle with that for sure. When you're doing deals, and especially when you're not doing a lot of them, you got to take some because the grind will catch up to you if you're not paying yourself. So like definitely profit first. I mentioned the time blocking and sticking to it. That's still something that I struggle with. Uh, I will let lesser important things sometimes take precedence. Like I kind of joke about the Facebook messaging. I spend a lot of time on social media. That's how I create opportunities. That's how I connect with new people and network, and we raise capital through there. There's times where I'll have something on the calendar, but I'm like, man, I've got 15 messages on my whatever on my Instagram right now. I got to clear these because I get like overwhelmed by people that have not gotten an answer for a handful of hours. And so it's still something that I deal with. No, you gotta, the issue that I have is that I didn't put social media as a time blocked event on my calendar those days. And so I feel like I gotta squeeze it in here. And then all of a sudden it's 10 minutes past the hour and I'm supposed to be doing something 10 minutes ago. Yeah. I.e., me being late to our first meeting. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that is a problem I'm running into, but currently working on fixing is that having that buffer time in
Mm,
between events.
yeah.
Because sometimes it just happens, things run over,
Yeah.
but that's definitely important because once I am late for an event, I'm always 15 minutes early to everything. Once I'm late to the event, whatever it is, I immediately just start getting stressed.
Mm,
And
yeah.
so it's definitely better to give yourself more time than you're going to need for whatever it is that you're planning because something might come up.
Yeah, you might be like in a call with somebody and be having just an amazing conversation. Like, oh, crowd, it's we were supposed to be done with this call 3 minutes ago. Okay, let's wrap it up because I'm gonna be late for my next thing now. That's why I give myself a 5 minute buffer typically on my calls. Because as you can tell, I am a rambler.
Do you get
Brittany's
in
laughing at me.
conversations or sales conversations where it's okay, here's the topic, but we have gone way over here now? And how do you get yourself back on track, back on topic, or end the conversation if you had to?
Mm. Yeah. Yes. Especially earlier on, I joke about the learning about people's cats and finding out where the granddaughter's going to college. I didn't just make those up. I had conversations about them. And then you're like, wait, I knew everything about you and you still sold the deal to somebody else because I didn't build the right kind of rapport. I didn't bond in the right way. So keeping it on whatever subject you're intending to is very important. It can be difficult. Like certain, I forget what they color them. Like I think green maybe, or maybe yellow is like a person that just likes to talk a lot. It can be difficult to reel those people in. I don't have any specific strategies to bring the conversation back necessarily. It's tough without context, but a great one for ending the conversation is, "Oh, Chris, my attorney's calling right now. I've got to take this call." It wouldn't work right now at 8:30 at night per se, but it could, I guess. You just say, "Hey, my mom's calling. She lives on the other side of the country. I really should probably take this. It's odd that she's calling right now. Let me call you back in a little bit." And it gives you a chance to hang up the phone. If you want to call the person back, now you can call them back and start back in the subject that you're in. I've actually recommended using that technique for when you find yourself stuck in a conversation. Hey, they just asked something that I'm not really sure how to answer, or like I'm feeling uncomfortable, like I'm getting a little bit outside of where my knowledge base and where the seller's going to realize that I'm a fraud or whatever. Just use that. Oh man, my closing attorney's calling right now. We have this deal tomorrow that we're supposed to be closing on. I don't know why they would be calling. Let me call you right back. And it gives you just a chance to collect your thoughts. It also shows this if we're talking to a seller, like, oh, hey, they're closing a deal. They're legit. They're a buyer. So it kills. Oh, I don't know another phrase for it, but kills two birds. Just so mean to kill two birds.
On that note, what would you say to someone who maybe they don't know that technique and have just never tried it? How often do you come into situations where you just openly admit, hey, I don't know?
Not as much anymore, but then that's not to say that I know a whole lot of things. I'm in my wheelhouse at this point. But when you're starting out, I it's a superpower in my opinion. It brings it brings the other person's guard down. Hey, you know what? I really don't know the answer to that question. But my partner, whatever you want to say there, most likely does. Would you like me to circle back with you on this? A great thing to reverse. You know what? I'm not sure. I'm not totally sure about that. I can check with my partner, but before I give him a call, what makes you ask me that question? You have to tailor that last part depending on what they're asking, but it's a good way for you to what's called reverse the question and kind of deflect a little bit. Like you gave him an answer, but then you spawned a question back on him. And it gives you a chance to get back engaged in the conversation and take control of the conversation a little bit more. So really, I don't want to do a sales masterclass here, but the person who's asking the questions has control of the conversation. And the person that's doing all the talking while they feel like they have control of the conversation is really the other person who's in a position to ask that next question that has control. And so being able to reverse questions like that, which is the second book of the Can't Teach a Kid How to Ride a Bike at a Seminar. I forget exactly what it's called, but it's something along the lines of asking questions the Sandler way. And one of the chapters in there is all about reversing. So yeah, definitely book to check out.
I didn't realize that was the second book. I thought they were
I don't.
separate pieces. I could go down the sales rabbit hole right now.
Yeah, I don't. I shouldn't have said second book, but it's like another Sandler sales book.
Well, dude, this has been a great conversation. Could totally
I
talk
appreciate
more
you, brother.
about sales, but
Yeah,
would like to respect your time. Grateful that
yeah, I
you gave me
appreciate it.
something to come on today.
Yeah.
Uh, Before we wrap things up, where can people go to connect with you, find out more about what you're doing?
Yeah, the best way is nathanielhovsepian.com. I haven't figured out a way to shorten that yet to make it easier for people to go to, but if you go there, it has all the socials that I'm on. Oh, minus LinkedIn. I need to add LinkedIn up there, but I am on LinkedIn as well. You will find my podcast on there, Networking with Nathaniel. We do those live every Wednesday at noon. You'll find Helping Hands Hour, which is a Zoom that I do every week at noon as well. It's on Thursdays at noon Eastern time. That's there to just come in, ask questions. If you're stuck anywhere in your business, if you just want to chat through deals, if you want to do role play, it's an hour Zoom that it's open. Except for the last couple of weeks, I hijacked them, but it's pretty open generally just to come in and talk Q&A. You will also see on there, we didn't chat about it, but I did allude to health and fitness is a big part of my life. I'm a family first person. I blended those two with my partner, Zach Bush, and we started a group called Fit Fatherhood. We have a free community on Facebook, Fit Fatherhood. It's like a busy community or community for busy dads taking control of their health and wellness. That's on there as well. We do have a school community that is a paid community where you get a little bit more accountability, a little bit more like one-on-one coaching. And then we have coffee hours during the week where we just come and hang out. But again, long-winded, nathanielhovsepian.com.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I love it. I think you got some great things going on, and I definitely think people should hop in, attend those events, and just be a part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the more people that you bring into those things, the better everybody else that comes does, because one person asks a question and it applies to, maybe it doesn't directly apply to your business, but a lot of the times you go, oh, that's very interesting. I could use that here. And so I always like to tell people to come in, invite other people, because they might come in and ask a question next week that you didn't even think of, and it'll change the way you do business going forward or change some aspect of your life. I appreciate you having me here, brother. Thank you so much, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And as always, if you guys are finding this valuable, share it with somebody who needs to hear it. New episodes are dropping weekly. So hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more. We'll see you guys in the next episode.